joined by former artist in residence, Moira Ness. And she was an artist in residence at Main Street Arts back in May of 2018. And just start out by maybe Moira reminding people what you were working on at that time when you were at Main Street Arts.
So while I was at Main Street Arts, I was working on a new series. I'm actually a photographer mostly, but I worked on a new series, painting. And it was a series that explored area codes and how they relate to each other geographically. So different cities and areas have area codes that are assigned. And if there's some that overlap, for example, I'm from Toronto, Canada. In Toronto, there's 3 area codes that we are assigned to. So 647, 416, and 289. So on my painting, they were big squares with circles and numbers outlining the outside, all the numbers of the area codes. Lines would be drawn connecting all the numbers together based on where they are geographically. And that took up most of my time. It was a really big project. I'm actually still working on it. I know we're gonna talk about that later, but that's now 2 years ago. And I think it was a really important month that I spent there. I did work on photography, and I did a nightscapes. I do a lot of night photography workshop, which was really fun to get involved with the community there. But it shifted focus to this new painting series, and it's really it's changed my direction as an artist moving forward.
Yeah, and you even had a couple of smaller pieces related to that series in our alumni residency alumni exhibition.
Yes. I got my Instagram notifications about a year ago, post what was happening a year ago, and it was that those pieces in that event that I came down for.
Yeah, that's right. That was
a fun event.
That was almost.
It was so much fun.
I loved so much fun. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, it was a great time. Has your work changed from the work you were doing at the residency?
So as I was saying before, at the residency, my work changed a lot. And then moving forward from that, I really took an almost permanent break from photography and worked almost exclusively painting. I have done some photo stuff, but really the time at the residency made me explore that sort of new medium that I've never experimented with before. And I'm still, so the series from the residency was very circle based, like lots of circles. And like, as you can see in the background here, I'm still making similar square based circles. Like, it's evolved into a different series, but the idea is still there, and very much so related to what I created at the residency. So do you want me to talk a little bit about the work behind me?
Sure.
Let's see here.
Oh yeah.
So you can see that it's a big circle on sort of a beige background, and there's certain colors that are adorning the circle. I'm gonna put it back and then sit and talk. So each color on the circle represents a person. Each circle represents a year of my life. So this is actually 2017 would be this year. And the color, the person is the person that I was involved with at the time. And the different thicknesses and sort of lots of the color are when I first met them. Then I didn't see them for a while, then I met them again, and then we started dating, and then we broke up. And that's sort of, it's a whole series of different squares, different years spanning from my late teens to now. And it's become this like huge project, and I've been working on it for like half a year now. Well, I know you like the circles. You were one of.
I really like having like rules. you know, like,
Yes. Oh,
uh,
and that was so important to me when I remember this one time you came up to the studio, and I explained the area code project, and you were just like, yes, like there's rules, there's lines, there's connections, but like, and that really made me think about, and was really very formative actually, um, of, applying rules, because I'm moving from a medium of photography where it's very like cut and dry. There's no sort of like, like you'll just no, it has to be like there's settings, there's exposure, there's time, so I'm used to that kind of vibe.
mhm.
And then moving to painting, it just wouldn't make sense for me to go into like portrait painting. It just I don't have the talent at all. I'm not a painter. But applying rules to the painting, to the area code painting and to these paintings was really important. And that conversation, I think about that conversation a lot because it was very important in sort of setting like how I go about and how I move forward with new projects and new painting projects. So thank you.
Awesome.
And you recently did a collaboration with a musician as well, right? Or a
I
composer?
did, yeah, a composer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Brian Harmon is a Toronto-based composer of new classical music, and he approached me and said, I'm being commissioned by a Spree Orchestra to uh, create this piece, and I'd like to collaborate with you and make a visual component to it. Are you interested? And I was like, yeah. Like, that sounds like the coolest thing ever.
Mhm.
And so over about 8 months, we met quite frequently, about once a week, and talked about what he was working on with his side of things and writing the music, and what I would be working on. And that piece was a lot of my text-based work. So I do a lot of writing um, separate from my art, but then I started incorporating it into my art, and I use an algorithm, a text algorithm that helps me sort words that I've written into new sentences, into new meanings. And then I kind of select those sentences, put them onto a Photoshop canvas kind of, and kind of mess with the visual and add another algorithm that sort of um, visually remixes the text and sort of expands the text, so it becomes a really full screen of the expanded text. And yeah, and that piece, it was about 12 minutes long, and it projected over the orchestra while they were playing at here in Toronto back in October. And yeah, it was a really really cool experience. I had a really great time. It was really great.
Yeah, no, it looked really cool. I mean, what we saw on Instagram, it looked really like a really great opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. Very grateful.
Yeah. And thinking about more recently, I guess, how has this whole situation changed your studio practice?
Well, as you can see, I'm not, well, maybe this might be my studio. This is not my studio. This is my garage, my dad's workshop, actually. And I rent a studio space here in Toronto, a shared studio space. So there's about 30 artists at Northern Contemporary Studios. And as soon as the sort of, for Canada or for Ontario at least, as soon as they said, non-essential businesses have to be shut down, our studio managers, obviously said, well, you can't, like, you can no longer go into the studio only for necessity, like pick up supplies or whatnot, but you can't actually work there. So um, it's been a really big adjustment because I would go to the studio almost every day, and it became a part of my routine, and everyone's being thrown off from their routine. So it's something that is shared across other careers and people, not just artists, but um, it really takes away the sort of creative feeling that I feel safe at the studio, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to create. As much as this is great, and I'm super grateful that my dad is letting me use his garage, it's just not the same. I've been working, but luckily, as we were talking before, my pieces are rule based, and basically the whole series is planned out. So I don't really have to like think too much creatively in this moment. So I'm grateful for that because I can actually get work done, but I'm not worried about um, thinking about new ideas. But I will finish the series at some point, and then I'll have to like create something new. And I hope by then maybe I'll be more inspired. But it's it's pretty dire. It's not a good time, but we're all feeling it. So yeah, my practice has changed a lot for sure, and I don't know when we'll be able to go back. We're right in the thick of it right now. We don't, the next few weeks will really uh, predict how long this will go on for, and still paying rent at the studio. Like that's the other side of things, is like everything else aside, our creative vibes aside, like there's still like a life that we have to, as artists, have to maintain, and that's really scary because most of our jobs and our practices have stopped. I wrote an article for CBC Arts, which is our sort of national news. CBC is our national news station, and yeah, it was a really it was good because it took me about a week and a half to write the article, and that was like the first week and a half that like we were all in isolation. So I definitely wasn't thinking about making art. I was thinking about exactly what I was writing about, how this is affecting people with canceled shows, canceled art fairs, canceled residencies. And I spoke about my own experience with the show that's being canceled for May. We have a festival up here called Contact Festival. It's a photography festival. So I had a show that's pretty much going to be canceled. I'm pretty sure. They keep postponing it, but the way things are going, like it's just not. So I explained about that, and then I interviewed a lot of my friends and peers to ask them how this was affecting them, and I included maybe 4 people in the article, but like I had like 15, 20 people like that wrote like essays of like how this was affecting them, their feelings, all these things, and it was like I want to put it all in, but I can't. Like there's a word count. But yeah, it was. I'm trying to think of a way to like get those voices out there still. But it's COVID time, so everything's sort of moving like in a weird a weird pace. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get to it maybe in like a week. I don't know.
Yeah. Right. A week or
You're like,
an
what's a
hour?
week?
Yeah.
What's a week?
What's a week?
Yeah.
What is time? I don't even know. Like how do like my days are not filled with anything, but I feel like they're so busy.
Yeah.
Any interaction is so like this is today. Like our conversation right now, this is today. After this, like I'm gonna go play World of Warcraft. Like I can't like, I can't do this anymore. But like on a regular day, like this would be like, one of 5 things that like, that would take up my day. And it's crazy to feel how like productivity and your perception of working, it's changed. It's completely changed because we're so preoccupied with this pandemic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure. Yeah, I mean that's all that you hear like I listen to NPR like making dinner or something, and every day it's like the same story just with slightly different, angle or whatever. So
Yeah, it's a lot. And like listening and watching news, like I did at the beginning because I like to keep up on a current situation, but now I'm just kind of like I'll check in once a day. I'll get the highlights on my phone, but like I really try not to engage because it's so draining. Like
Yeah.
and I'm already thinking about it all the time. It's not like I'm sitting here like like I'm thinking about it the whole time. But to have that sort of like the numbers like throwing numbers at you all the time, it just it really yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
hard to process it all.
Well, yeah, call me anytime. Jeez, I'm
Yeah.
just sitting in my studio here.
We'll
in
call
my
you every
garage.
day.
Call me every day. Yeah, let's do it. Oh,
Margot.
hello. Hi, sweetie. Oh, you're so cute.
Margo, this is the camera
Oh.
right here, okay? You gotta look right
Right, right. Yeah. Could you look at the camera, please? I'm
You won't
joking.
like.
Oh. And they're just they're loving this. They're like,
Yeah.
wow,
Oh,
like
Yeah, they like it.
this is the time to be alive. Like, they're here all the time.
All the
Yeah.
time. All the
Oh,
time.
bless. So happy. Oh.
Oh.
Okay,
All right.
we'll talk soon.
Okay.
Eat some bread, some of that bread for me.
Okay.
We will.
We can do that.
Yeah.
We'll take
Yeah,
photos
I
and
mean-
send them to you.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right.
Okay, well, nice talking.
yes.
Nice talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Stay safe.
Okay, we'll
Bye.
talk soon. Yeah, you too. Stay safe. Cool.
Yeah. Either way, there'll be some Warfield spread coming your way, I think.
I didn't want to bring it up because I didn't want to
Yeah.
talk about it, but oh my god.
We've been getting bread now and again from there. So
Yeah.
Why
during
wouldn't
this time.
you?
Well, because they're closed to the public like everyone else, but
Sure.
you can get takeout. So we've gotten a few loaves, or maybe just two.
I think just 2.
Yeah.
Not the 15 that I brought over the border.
No.
Did you ever get stopped?
Well, the guy was like, I'm always so nervous when I go over the border. No reason. I'm not doing anything wrong. I've never done anything wrong in my life. And he's like, so what are you bringing back? And I looked at him, I'm like, and he's like, and I'm like, bread, a lot of bread. And he's like, okay. And he just sort of like shovels me through. And I'm just like, okay, like, and then I ate some bread and it was fine.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
Did you like share some with them? Like, here, like.
I didn't. I like the bread. That bread's so special that like
You can't give it up
no,
to anybody.
Yeah.
no. Like I almost exclusively ate all of that bread over the following months. I shared like a few with my family and like one friend, but like
Yeah.
no, that was mine.
Yeah.
Like gold, yeah.
Yeah, you got to be smart about that for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, gold. It's literally
Yeah.
like gold. Is this making the interview? I hope so.
I hope so too.
Well, only time will tell, right?